Welcome to the Mentor Studio, where today's thought leaders and leading entrepreneurs inspire and bring real-world ideas that help you take your career to levels you've only dreamed of. Now buckle in. Here's your host, Michael Silvers.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Mentor Studio podcast. I am one of the hosts, Donna Campbell, and I am the Director of Training here at the Mentor Studio. And today I have an amazing guest. I've been wanting to get to know her a little bit more, so I invited her to be one of our guests, and it's Andrea Adams Edwards. And she's been with the Mentor Studio for a while, and I see her on all the calls, and I'm just like, who is this fascinating person? So without any more, I'm going to introduce Andrea and the Mentor Studio. So the Mentor Studio is a community of like-minded people coming together to be of service, to have a heart of service, to make an impact in the world, but also share and mentor others. And Andrea has been a vital part of that since she has joined. So Andrea is a mom of 4 who loves reading, dancing, picture taking, and roller coasters. I love it. I love roller coasters. She finds complete tranquility in savory foods and beautiful sceneries, whether from the big city lights or nature views. She's the co-founder of KEG, Knowledge, Empowerment, Growth Book Club, and KEG Kids for young children and KEG Tweens for teenagers. She is an entrepreneur by heart and the founder of Adornami, a line of beauty products. And she's also the owner of a Caribbean Things by Adornami, a business birthed by the idea of bringing some of her Caribbean heritage to the USA. She's part of the International Coaching Federation coach who focuses on communication and relationship and recognizes that people sometimes struggle with the unspeakable doubt, lack of self-confidence, and sometimes low self-esteem. And her intention is to help people access their inner self-talk, change their mindset, and transform their own lives by improving their relationship with themselves and by extension of others. So Andrea is certified Les Brown motivational speaker who's reclaimed her power voice and is using her voice to help children develop public speaking skills, debating skills, and creative writing skills through her Global Kids Speak platform. Welcome, Andrea, for coming here today and being a part of the Mentor Studio podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna. It's indeed a privilege to be here. I am just excited.
So to kick off, because people always want to know, we want to know the ins and outs of everything. And the fastest, quickest way there is share something with us that nobody else knows about you.
Okay, there's so many things. One of them is I'm called, well, not a lot of people, unless they're really close to me, call me Annie. So Annie was a name that my dad wanted me to have because he loved Westerns and he looked at some movie called Annie Get Your Gun or something along that line, but he was obsessed with that name. But my mom named me Andrea because my dad is Andre. But for some reason, the name Annie's top. So you would find that a lot of people who would have known me from a child, they still call me Annie.
Yes, I love it. I live in Montana, so Annie Get Your Gun. Yeah, big popular Western out here in cowboy country. I'll say.
Wow.
So what was the fascination with that movie? Do you know why he wanted to call you Annie?
I have no clue. All I was told, he loved it, and it was apparently one of his favorites. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So share with us a little bit about your background and how you got involved working with kids, with teenagers, and even with people coaching with all of the things that you do.
Okay, so when how I became a coach, first of all, it just happened because let me just give you a little background. As a child, I was molested, and that actually caused me to not have any form of self-confidence. One of the most impactful things that happened to me through my experience is actually my inability to speak up. As a teenager, I was afraid of adults, and even as I grew into an adult, I was afraid of communicating. I was oftentimes paralyzed when I have to communicate with coworkers or have to speak up for myself in any form. And it was getting a little bit ridiculous, but it took me doing pageantry as a young lady and many self-development things to help to mold me. And it's not like a one-time thing that happened that I discovered myself, but it was over a period of time. But I believe most impactful when that happened was just around the time the pandemic hit, when a lot of persons were going in and just relaxing. That's when I actually came out. My friend and I, we always wanted to do a book club because we recognized that a lot of people were not reading, and reading is one of those things that was slowly dying. They spend so many hours looking at television instead of doing things that would really add knowledge to themselves and help to empower them. And we formed the book club. And from there, she invited me to, which I would consider one of my first real self-development courses. It was 7 days of healthy thoughts. It was done by Dr. Sonia Noel. And that transformed my life. I went there as an accountability partner for her. And I was like, oh, I'm always thinking positive thoughts. I never have these curse words in my head and so forth. So I was like, I'm just doing it, but I didn't think that I needed it. But doing that made me realize that so many garbage thoughts are in our head. And from there, was like what you would call a snowball effect of personal development things. And before you know it, here I am, a certified coach and doing all the things that I'm passionate about.
Nice, nice. And I think that skill set is so incredibly valuable. And to feed ourselves information and knowledge and wisdom, which is a large part of what we do here at the Mentor Studio, because we have networking, which is about relationship building and masterminds, and to be able to share that information, knowledge, that wisdom with others along the way so that they can also grow as well. So what would be your top 3 tips that somebody could implement right away today for them to really grow for them?
Oh, my top 3 definitely would be self-development. You have to invest in yourself and continuously, not one time, because we are fluid and we're ever growing and we're becoming. So you got to keep going, got to keep developing yourself. The second thing would be self-acceptance. You have to accept yourself. We are all human and we are all flawed. So we have to accept what was and know that we have the power to make ourselves better, to become what we want to be. In fact, we are what we want to be. Time, we just have to catch up with it. And we do so by empowering ourselves. And the third thing, which is one of my standing pillars, why I have the name Adornami. Adornami actually means to adorn me. It's an Italian word. And adorn me, the third thing is self-love. You have to love yourself. If you do not love yourself, I know you cannot love somebody else, because if you don't know what love is, how could you love? You can't accept and love you. How could you tell me that you are loving somebody else? So those are 3 things I would tell persons to work on.
So when you have clients come to you or people who reach out wanting to seek this information, how do you share it and how do you teach those principles to them?
Okay, so for me, first of all, I have persons look at themselves introvertly. Once you can see where you are, accept what was, and you can start making goals. First of all, that's the other thing. You have to place goals. And once you understand and you learn what your passion is, passion, that's one of the things I press on, your passion, and you identify what your purpose is, then everything else goes with it. But first of all, you have to go back to accepting and loving yourself, then identifying what is it that you want, what is it that drives you, what is it that moves you. So that's the tool that I use, that understanding yourself first, and then understanding what your passion and your purpose is as a tool to set goals and to achieve what is it you want to achieve.
Nice. So having a passion, having a purpose, implementing that, putting it into place. Now, earlier you talked about your book club, something that you are very passionate about and that you have a purpose with, and then starting it with children, starting it with teenagers and various people. And I have to admit, I love reading and I read often. And I actually joined my very first book club. I'm going to tell you, I'm already 1 intro and 2 chapters behind because I haven't started it. And they're going to be doing week 3 next week. But I'll catch up this weekend. I'll read ahead. It was just a timing factor for me. But knowing that with books and book clubs, what is one of your favorite books and why?
Okay, we've read quite a few because we're approaching year number 2. We do read, we aim to read 11 books per year. We meet once a month. But I would say of all of them, there's so many, I'd probably be lying, but can I name 2? One of them is called Eat That Frog. It's actually based on helping you to overcome procrastination, which is something that I believe a lot of people suffer with, and even with deliberate intent, you sometimes still do fall back on it. But the other one I would have really enjoyed was Trevor Noah, Born a Crime, only because I am so silly at heart. I love a good laugh. And I found that when I read that book, I laughed till I cry. And when we met and we discussed it, we were laughing our hearts off. So, but yeah, those were 2 of my favorites.
Nice, nice. I love it. When I get asked that question every so often, I always go back to a picture book. And it's actually a children's book, but I read it as an adult, and it is my absolute favorite book to this day. And it's called Old Turtle and the Broken Truth, which is written by Douglas Wood. And it's about how we can really live in our authentic truth as love, because everybody is a form of love, and how we lost our way and the journey back to it, back to the path. So I absolutely love that book. And it's really interesting when you're at a business conference or you're up on stage sharing and talking, and someone asks you for your favorite book, and you're like, I read children's books. That's who I am. But you read for a lot of different reasons and a lot of different purposes. You read for content, you read for information, you might read for humor, you might read to learn something. So as a favorite style or genre of books, do you have one for you?
Yes, I do. Our favorite, actually, which we found for the book club in general, it's actually personal development. We do a lot of books that help us to think. We would have read, oh my goodness, we did like John Maxwell 101. I'm sorry, my train of thought with the books are out. But most of the ones that we found that we really did was really deep and impactful were those that actually did help us with self-development, especially with the thoughts. We did quite a few with mastering your thoughts and understanding toxic thoughts and changing your mindset. So those are the books, and that actually is my personal type of genre in terms of books.
Nice. Now, I know with the Mentor Studio, we have a legacy about serving others and bringing information to them. And books is one way to do that. Speaking is another way. And then what we do in the professional development world as well. So what is a legacy or something that you would like to leave?
Very good question. I always say that for me, I just want to impact as many persons as possible. And my impact is to help persons, to help each individual know that they are special. There's nothing that you can't do. I want persons that come across me, or even if it's not directly through me, but somehow or the other, I impact them to understand that you are valuable. And there's nothing about you that is less. You are more, you're great, you're awesome, you're loved. So that's my impact and that's my legacy. My kids must know that to love themselves and by extension, love others, and everyone else that I come into contact with or can impact in one way or the other must understand or must feel that know the importance of love, self-love.
Yes, absolutely. It's been really phenomenal here today because I know I've been doing back-to-back podcast recordings, and it always amazes me that a theme always emerges. And the theme of this round has been about loving yourself, self-care, self-love. So my personal quote that I share often is live the life you love and love the life that you live. Because if you're not here to experience life and to love and to fall in love with all aspects of your life, that tells me something needs to shift or change because we're meant to love. And so I love where I live. I love to travel. I love to come back home. So do you have a favorite quote or something that you would like to share for our audience today?
Well, my favorite quote is work hard, work smart, play hard, because I believe that we all need to work, because if you faith without work is dead. You have to work to make things happen, but also you can save so much time by working strategically. And equally, I believe in balance. I love balance. So when you play, you enjoy that equally. You do it with all your might. Like at home, I tell my kids, I'm like, okay, during the week, Monday to Thursday, I want you to push all that you have to push. But come Friday, weekends, we tend to be very laid back. And it's just implementing that same principle that when you're working, you focus and you work. And when it's time to play, same equally. Play.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So if at the Mentor Studio, of course, we can get in touch with you through our community. But if somebody is just listening to this call, and it's the only podcast that they've listened to for a while, how can somebody get in touch with you to see when they're ready to take those next steps, to really start turning their lives around, to implement that self-love, have that confidence, and to impact, or maybe to get in touch with you for your book clubs? How can someone simply reach you?
Thank you, Donna. Well, I have one link. It's on Linktree. It's /Adornami. And that's ADORNAMI. That's on Linktree.
All right.
Everything is there.
Yes. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love that name, and that it's an Italian name. And I just need to know, where in the Caribbean are you from?
So I was born in Guyana, South America. It's actually not technically the Caribbean, but they have been adopted to be part of the Caribbean because of part of their borders is on the Caribbean Sea. So
nice.
Yeah, although it's in South America, it's considered part of the Caribbean.
So beautiful in that whole area as well for it. I guess they call it the Western Caribbean.
Yes. And I must say, I lived in Barbados for 17 years. So wow. I'm definitely a Caribbean girl.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today with us on the Mentor Studio podcast. It's been a pleasure and a joy to have you and to learn even more about you.
And thank you for having me.
All right. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, or if you want to get in touch with Andrea, all you have to do is reach out. You can go to thementorsstudio.net. That's with 2 S's, or even if you do one, it'll still get you there. So you can reach out, see everybody, and look and see what it's like to be a part of our community. So thank you.
We're honored that you invested time with us today at the Mentor Studio. Now, don't be greedy. Share this knowledge bomb with all your dope peeps on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Actually, we'll even pay you to do it. To get the deets, please check out thementorsstudio.com.